What's up, everybody? Welcome to another installation of the No Look podcast here on this May 3rd, 2021. Eventful weekend, I would say, in terms of sports. We had the NFL draft, obviously, a lot of NFL drama surrounding that, even a little bit of Kentucky Derby, obviously, baseball, golf, probably some cricket, some cornhole action, but. It's your boy Tyler with the man.
You
Oh,
definitely did that backwards.
it's your boy Yo Soy Tyler
Yeah, the man,
with the man.
goddamn.
Goddamn
No,
ACWeezy.
I will not stand for that. You know what it
Fine.
is, chat. Your boy, yo, so ACWeezy, the man, goddamn. I'm not sure. He's had an injury. He's not thinking straight. The blood
Had
flow
a
isn't
plethora of
in.
injuries. Oh, by the way,
His blood flow isn't circulating that well. But anyways, I said,
you
Tyler.
want to, you want to talk about injuries? Like, a lot of people, especially during the draft, you get a lot of guys that they're like, oh, this guy's coming off a shoulder injury. Well, if I were to be drafted today, not only would I not get drafted at all, but say I was a first round pick, I'd probably drop to the fourth round. I've got blisters on my feet from playing basketball. I cut my thumb washing the dishes. I mean, you name it, I've done it. It's been a rough go at it this last week. It seems like ever since I signed off last week's episode, it's just been very bad for me injury wise.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know what our order of topics are gonna be, but I don't know about like overall your past weekend, not even just injuries, but as far as the NFL draft goes, how do you feel about the Raiders?
Well, not extremely thrilled with the way that they drafted, or who they drafted, I should say. Uh, but I feel like a lot of it has to do with who trickles down to you. I know I said last week that I really wanted Mekhi Parsons. We might as well get into it. Mekhi Parsons goes number 12. I thought the Raiders, kind of were looking at him a little bit, or so I was hoping. I knew that they were going to go O-line, Panay or Peeny.
Whatever you
Sewell
want to call them.
went to the Lions. I mean, a lot of guys that, we wanted to follow us didn't. And so we ended up going with was it Leatherwood?
I gotta pull up some.
Let's not knock the guy, though. Can I be honest? I think he's a good offensive lineman. Obviously, a winner out of Alabama. Has won 2 national championships. He won some lineman award last year, too. So it's not like this guy is a no-name. A lot of analysts are saying they could have got him in the second round. Yeah. But I think what had happened was maybe Josh Jacobs went to the GMs as they do and said, hey, I really like this guy, this lineman out of Alabama. I've heard a lot about him. I think he's going to be very good. And so they drafted him. They had a high regard for him. And what I've noticed with Mayock and Gruden is when they see a guy that they like, they go after him regardless of position that they're drafting at.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned that stuff, Tyler, we got Hot Dog checking in. What's going on, Hot Dog? I'm not sure if the GMs, Tyler, were watching the No Look podcast last week, but after we had our whole debate where you said you thought you wanted him, I guess I should say, on the Raiders, and I was like, oh, seems kind of high for someone who hasn't played football in a year. And what happens? He goes even higher than the list that we were looking at. He was projected wise. But no, I mean, if he went to the Cowboys, correct?
Right.
Who, we'll get into a little more, had a trade with the Giants and the Eagles, all those guys. NFC East, just for some reason, they're like, hey guys, we all sucked last year. Maybe let's try to be on the same page. We can, trade up. You want this guy? All right, sounds good. We just need to be not the laughing stock of the NFL next season. So where was I going with that? He got picked. Oh, but if he's on the Cowboys, Tyler, he's a linebacker. He's definitely going to be hurt at least half of his career. And, you talk about Van Der Esch, you talk about Jalen Smith last year. All stud guys, which I'm sure
Right.
Parsons will be, but they're just hurt too much. They're not
Right.
on the field enough to make an impact.
Now, this was a classic Cowboys pick going heavy linebacker. They have a lot of linebackers that they could use, and I feel like the Cowboys are notorious for doing stuff like that. They had Sean Lee, former Penn State great. They knew that Penn State is a linebacker school, linebacker U as they call them, and I think they just went for it. Guy obviously didn't play last year, but you don't need any tape on the guy. You watch his sophomore year with Penn State, the dude absolutely balled out. I think personally he was the best defensive player in the draft. Right behind him was Surtain, who went to the Broncos, and I think that pick right there. Now I'm talking strictly Raiders talk, obviously right now. I think the pick at number 9 with Surtain really bolstered the Cowboys to then reposition to draft Parsons because they needed a cornerback more than anything. Their
Mhm.
secondary is trash. You can ask any Cowboys fan. Their secondary wasn't good, but they were like, you know what? This guy's on the board. He's not going to be on the board next time around. We really want him. Let's go get him.
Yeah, no, a lot of stuff that made sense. Not gonna lie, we were pretty much in the midst, the hype of all the Aaron Rodgers rumors, everything that was going on over this past weekend and during the draft. I got, I won't say much, but I'll say, I was like a medium on the poop meter when the San Francisco 49ers went up for their pick. Roger Goodell walked out, and I was just like, please don't say there's been a trade. Please don't say there's been a trade, because if something happened where Green Bay moved up, that almost solidified that, he was going to go to them. Now it's saying that the 49ers aren't even that much into I don't know. We'll get into that after. But Tyler, as I'm sharing my other screen with you, the committee was hard at work this week. And I'm also going to share this screen with the viewers at home. Not only did I go through and put down all the teams, right, Tyler, for the good of our show, I made some formulas, also kind of showcasing my Microsoft Excel skills, if you will. So any potential employers out there, if you guys want to take notes.
Might I add, I love the analytics here. ACWeezy, he's like we've said on previous podcasts, he's hard at work in the lab, as most people would say,
Hey,
coming up with formulas. E equals MC squared. Well, the No Look podcast equals ACWeezy in the lab, coming up with formulas on how to grade teams in the draft.
listen, I got the team grades, then I put it into the divisions and even the conferences. So we're gonna get into it, Tyler. I also got the picks per team. So we're just gonna go right down the list. I mean, I'm kind of just throwing this at you right now. We didn't really talk
That's
about
fine.
this
I'm
before,
good.
but I figured instead of just go off, Bleacher Report or someone else's opinion that doesn't mean much, as I
Yeah.
think you got spit on your chin for the fifth
Oh,
time.
definitely. 100%.
So I said, why not? We'll give our own.
I feel like when I'm spitting my zin, like I have, when you go to the dentist and they fill in a cavity in your jaws, like still numb. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that's what's happening right now.
But you just must be super dehydrated, because
I mean, I
all
drank
your
a lot of
spit is
water
just
today.
super super. I don't even know what you want to call it. Thick.
Ooh,
Unless you're hucking
the only
loogies
thing.
every time.
That's not
Anyways.
the only thing that's thick, my
Oh
guy.
well, okay. Sore subject right now to you, all right?
Very sore.
But anyways, let's get into it. Let's go right down the list. Like I said, I got the divisions going in order. So right now we're gonna start with the AFC East, who I also have pulled up on ESPN. Yes, we're gonna use ESPN just for the list of who they picked. So right off the bat, obviously Mac Jones, first rounder, pick number 15, showing you a little bit that hey. Yeah, we signed Cam Newton to another year deal, but we're looking for the future, and we don't think that Newton is most likely going to be that guy. Christian Barmore, defensive tackle, Perkins, D end. They got a running back, inside linebacker, safety, offensive tackle, wide receiver. So they went a little more offensive help in the last couple rounds.
I think what we're seeing here, Austin, real quick,
Yeah.
is Bill Belichick's prowess when it comes to the NFL draft. Obviously, one of the best drafters in our lifetimes. Obviously, drafting Brady so late, he gets a lot of his good guys through the draft. Brewski, Ty Law, you name it, he's gotten those guys through the draft. I like what he did here, and it's not Mac Jones. Christian Barmore, a guy that should have went first round out of Alabama, the defensive tackle, got him in a bargain pick in the second round. I think he's going to be a stud up front, going to cause a lot of destruction in Bill Belichick's defense. And I think that's the winning pick right here, and why the Patriots grade would be a little bit higher than normal.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even sure. Was Belichick the one making the calls, or was it his dog? You know, they're saying there could be some speculation there. But yeah, I was just gonna say, before you got into that take, is my overall grading of their, the complete draft of New England Patriots might be overshadowed and, a little, whatever you want to call it, impacted by Mac Jones, because I am, hand up, not a big Mac Jones guy. I don't even think he should have been a first round quarterback. People were saying pre-draft he might be top 4 guy, top 5. And then, and then they're trying to compare him to Brady, right, Tyler? They show the pictures. Brady was just skinny. I mean, Mac Jones looks like he just got off of a, 2-week bender, applying for some sort of frat, doing all the initiations. I don't know. I don't see it.
Mac Jones looks like the guy that you see the before picture on the Weight Watchers diet. When you're up watching Comedy Central at 3 a.m. in the morning and the commercial comes on. This guy is a prototypical, guy that obviously needs to hit the weight room, maybe do some ladder drills. But let's not forget he's playing in Bill Belichick's offense with Josh McDaniels. I think any quarterback you could put right here in the first round that lands at the Patriots, and I think success just follows just because of the coaching staff that he's surrounded by. Obviously already a winner coming out of Alabama. So I think this is a perfect fit for Mac Jones if there was one.
Yeah, but was it last year, 2 years ago, they got the guy from LSU who, supposedly was supposed to be the next man up, never even happened. Obviously, they brought in Newton, who I feel like underperformed a lot of people's hopes of what he would have. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Know. LSU quarterbacks really never do it for me, though. Like, name one LSU quarterback that's ever came out of college that ever did anything.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of too many. But so you're kind of coming out and saying that you're not a Joe Burrow guy? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, Joe Burrow was Ohio State. Let's not forget.
But he's an LSU quarterback.
Also doesn't help him. Joe Burrow is the one exception. Joe Burrow, obviously, one good apple could fall from the tree, but the rest were crab apples that fell from LSU's quarterbacking tree, I should say.
Yeah. All right.
I give the Patriots a nice B+.
Here's what we gotta do here.
Okay.
Because
he makes the
one thing I didn't
doesn't tell me how I'm gonna grade it.
I know. Well, obviously with the numbers and the formulas, we gotta do a number grade instead of a letter. Obviously, it might be a little bit trickier, but we'll go based out of 10. Also, one thing I didn't think of, Tyler. This is gonna be a collective no look podcast grading, so you and I kind of have to agree on something. We should have done my grade and your grade. I should have made another column, and then we could have averaged that out. But I guess we could still do that.
I'll go number 1 through 100, I'm guessing.
No, let's just do 1 through 10. Make it easy.
I'll go 8. I think they drafted well. I think they got a lot of good players.
That's a rookie score. It's a whole number.
Okay, B+ would be like 8.7 then.
You giving them that high of a grade?
It's the Patriots. I think that they draft well, and this is a team that no matter who you draft, they do very well at getting the maximum potential out of their guys. Like I said, I think Mac Jones is going to thrive in the Patriots if they do plan to start him. I think, like I said, Barmore probably the steal of the draft. I think that gives them an even higher grade. So I'm going to say 8.7. I mean, what's your...
I would say 7.9.
How about we meet in the middle and give them an 8.2 then?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what we're going to have to do because we got to figure the
I feel like I'm on
Pawn
Stars right now.
Well, we're bargaining for prices.
Bargaining for grades.
All right, so Pat's 8.2.
I already know where this one's going.
Might have to go a little quicker unless, there's a topic that we kind of want to indulge on. So now, unfortunately, the list that I made isn't the same as how ESPN has this set up. Anyways, so Tyler, Jets, New York Jets, number 2 pick overall, Zach Wilson. There's could they go Justin Fields? Could they go Trey Lance? They went with Zach Wilson. Safe pick, I'd say. I don't hate it. But to me, he's kind of a carbon copy image of Darnold, who I don't think is bad, but we saw what happened when he was thrown into the fire that is the New York Jets. Didn't really work out that well. Don't have a lot of weapons. I'm not even sure what's going to happen with Le'Veon Bell. That's kind of been something
Well, Lev Bell plays for the Chiefs now.
Or yeah. Where am I? I'm 2 seasons behind. So they don't even have anything going on in the run game. They got a guard from USC, not a bad pick there. Elijah Moore, I actually like that. Michael Carter. Interesting enough, Tyler.
I like that. I like that pick. That Michael Carter pick.
They got 2 Michael Carters from Duke and North Carolina.
Well, Michael Carter the second.
Yeah.
He's the second version of Michael Carter, the running back. I think the Jets actually drafted pretty well personally. I think getting Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round, a good offensive lineman to bolster their run attack. Adding Michael Carter, I think he's a speedy weapon. You know, Zach Wilson, we might see him, we might not. I'm gonna go. You might think this is a little bit high, but I'm gonna go 7.1 on this one. I think, you know, obviously their draft position had a little bit to do with how high the score is, but their top 4 picks, I feel like, really helped their case in this draft.
Yeah, no, top 4. Yeah, I'm not too privy to Michael Carter, the running back from North Carolina, but as far as the first 3 rounds, I think they knocked it out of the park. I actually might give them a little bit of a higher grade, Tyler.
Okay, I'll allow it. I'm
thinking
you
didn't want to go too high
at this, and because I know what you say about the Jets. The Jets are gonna Jets, but you know it's kind of shocking how well they did draft. You know, this year.
Well, they drafted well, but we'll see what happens when it comes time to play ball and actually put some points on the board. But yeah, I mean, I would go more a little north of that, like 7.9. I mean, I'd be content with giving them like a 7.5.
That's cool.
7.5 for the Jets. Yeah, I'd say they did pretty well.
Now, interesting fact that I read today, now that we're going to get onto the Bills, is that the Bills now have the oldest starting quarterback potentially in the AFC East at 24 years old. So if the Jets start Zach Wilson,
right,
and the Patriots start Mac Jones, obviously the Dolphins have Tua.
Right, he
Josh
would be
Allen
the oldest.
Oldest veteran in the AFC East at 24 years old, which, I mean, he is a veteran. The guy's been to the playoffs. He's gone deep into it. He's a known winner, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's so weird how they label, like, people, you know, put the label of veteran on them. I feel like it doesn't even really necessarily correlate with how old they are, but more so, like, how many years do they have in the league, first and foremost, starting, right, you know, playing in a kind of a more of a coach position, teaching younger players beneath them. So yeah, even though at 24 years old, Tyler, I agree with you. Josh Allen is definitely viewed as a veteran at this point in his career. Made a big leap last year. Obviously, played some good football. We'll see how he can follow that up. As far as the draft, do you see anything you like here, Tyler? Kind of bland in my opinion. They went D-end, OT. Skill guy, in the 6th. Marquez Stevenson, wide receiver from Houston. Then I got safety, cornerback, and guard.
I mean, the only thing I'm really looking at here is the guy at number 6, Rashad Wildgoose, absolute electric name. But I do feel like they kind of missed in essence of going after getting a running back. Obviously, as you see it in their needs there. They really didn't have a run game this offseason or this past season. They had Josh Allen, obviously, but they were kind of that two-headed monster with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. But I feel like they should have maybe gotten, you know, a guy that could be their number 1 guy instead of Josh Allen all the time. I feel like they missed on that. Their defense, they added to it. Their defense is going to be even stronger, which is kind of scary. I'll give them a soft, you know, 7.2, maybe a 6.9. But I feel like they missed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Other than the fact that they drafted someone named Wild Goose, that boosted it up for a little bit for me. I probably would have put him in the sixes as well. Unfortunately, I don't think the Bills are cool enough to give him a 6.9, Tyler. So I'd honestly go down to like a 6.7.
That's fair.
You agree with that?
I'm cool with that.
All right. I mean, I just feel like they missed, like you said, Josh Allen. It's weird though because they like somewhat had options. I just feel like they didn't really rely enough on the run game enough. Josh Allen was almost playing too well. Obviously the Stephon Diggs led the league in receiving yards. Josh Allen played out of his mind. They had John Brown, who was hurt somewhat. Cole Beasley played well. Dawson Knox, played pretty well at the tight end position. But
their defense was obviously one of the best in the league last year. So adding to that doesn't hurt. I just feel like maybe adding a little bit of disparity to your offense, maybe adding a little bit of a run game. They probably had two guys on their list that they were going to go after. Obviously, Najee Harris going to Pittsburgh, and then also Travis Etienne. I feel like those are the two big running backs. After that, it's kind of like you don't know.
Yeah. No, they definitely, I'm right there with you. They should have gone a little bit more firepower on the offensive side of the ball. So to round out the AFC East, we got the Dolphins. Had the 6th pick. I'm sure they would have liked Jamar Chase. He went the pick before, right, to the Bengals. They had it at 5.
I'm not even sure that they really even wanted Jamar Chase. I feel like Jalen Waddle fits, the style that Tua plays anyways. You got Tua, who's out of Alabama, Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. They played together. They know their style of play very well. I think Jalen Waddle was an out of the park pick for the Dolphins.
That's kind of lame to say though. Like
you think?
You can't pass up on a guy who's all of his ratings were well above Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, but Jalen Waddle, I've said this on past podcasts. I think he's one of the best route running receivers in this year's draft. He's super fucking fast. I think he'll play really well to Tua's style. And honestly, I think the Dolphins had the best draft in the NFL overall, obviously because they had so many picks, so many high picks. I think they did a really good job at getting guys that they needed. They could have obviously gone a little bit more offensive to protect Tua from, absolutely shattering his knee like he has before. But I think they did well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they had 2 in the first, 2 in the second. Overall, though, they only had 7 picks in the draft, which I guess that's average, right?
Yeah.
Unless you get a what do you call it?
Like you trade
compensational,
for, or like a comp pick, yeah.
I mean, I don't think Jalen Waddle is even the best Alabama wide receiver in this draft, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Phillips, DeEnd, yeah, they got some questions on the defensive side of the ball. Safety, tackle from Notre Dame. I feel like a tackle from Notre Dame is one of the safest picks you can make. They're usually
almost like
pretty
a
solid.
lineman out of Wisconsin.
Right. Or, a linebacker from
Penn State.
Right. That's definitely where I was going with that. Yeah, another lineman, tight end, Hunter Long. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bland in my opinion. I don't think they did anything too sexy. They didn't really stink the bed up at all. I'd go, just to not be a rookie score and give him a solid 8, I'd give him like a 8.1.
See, I'm more up in like the 8.7s. I think 8.7 would be a better pick just based off of they obviously had the good draft positions, but they traded for those. They did that themselves. They played smart GM on their part, and I think that they did a really good job of drafting guys. Could they have gotten some, a better offensive lineman, maybe a linebacker like you see in their needs? But I think Jalen Waddle, you're underestimating how good this guy is.
I don't know. I guess it's all opinion based, but to me, if they could have traded back in the first round or maybe got another second round, they could have, maybe they could have got Parsons, or if they wanted to trade with the Ravens, they could have got the guy they drafted from Minnesota, who I think would have been similar value at the receiver position, and then they would have had, whether it be another first round pick, another second round pick, just kind of definitely bolstered up some more areas in need. But time will tell, Tyler. Like you said, you think Jalen Waddle is going to be a certified star. I think he's good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think he was the second best receiver in this draft. Or
Also, I love
someone.
how he looked like he was straight out of like a Migos video.
Yeah. Was that you that were we?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
me.
you
Like,
said
man,
he
this
was.
guy looks like he's part of Migos, the fourth member.
Maybe that's what he's going for. Hit the nail on the head. All right, so we're kind of split. I think we're gonna meet in the middle at 8-4. Tyler said 8-7. I said 8-1. Moving on now to the AFC North. We got the Steelers. So yeah, I really wish I put them in order of this list that I was gonna use from ESPN, but although it made it easier to get the average, so pretty much solidifying that James Conner is non-existent anymore. They drafted Najee Harris, obviously running back from Alabama, which I think was solid. Tyler's going to like this pick. How do you pronounce that, Tyler?
Freiermuth. Actually, he broke Gesicki's records at Penn State, so this guy is a stud. Let's not discount the guy at the 5th round, Isaiah Loudermilk. I mean...
Well, we had Wild Goose, now we got Loudermilk. What's going on here? Is this a created player, Tyler? We're seeing being drafted?
It's like Keenan or what is it?
Yeah, Key and Peele.
Key and Peele with the draft names. I think actually the Steelers. I saw a lot of draft analysts say that the Steelers got like a C grade. I like what they did. I think helping out Ben Roethlisberger, handing the ball off a little bit more to Najee Harris, who by far is the best running back in this draft. He's going to be a star in the league behind the right offensive line. I think they did well. And Freiermuth, they didn't really have a tight end to go to. And I know Big Ben loves his tight ends. Obviously, they have Claypool. But, you can't get Claypool, Deontay Johnson the ball a lot. Having a dump-off tight end really helps. And you've seen that all around the league.
Yeah, I mean, unless I'm missing something or forgetting something, rather, I believe they still have Eric Ebron, right?
They have Ebron, and they also have I forget what his name is, but a lot of good blocking tight ends. Not really anybody that's going to be. Look at Gesicki last year. Gesicki balled out. He played really well. Was kind of like a safety blanket for Tua, and I think you'll see this. This Freiermuth guy is like 6'5", big target. They call him Baby Gronk for a reason.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, I mean, I think as well they did have a pretty good draft for a team that has a strong quarterback, because Big Ben, he wasn't even sure he was going to come back this season. I mean, if he gets through and plays every game this season, Tyler, mark my words, I'll get a Budweiser tattoo or something, because I don't know how this guy is going to manage. We saw him deal with some injuries last year. His cardio at this point has just got to be completely atrocious. And the fact that the Steelers were like, yeah, I don't even think we're going to look at a quarterback in this draft. I mean, they drafted a punter. Tyler, how many times do you see punters being drafted? Like, yeah, if there's a kicker. Yeah, right? That's probably the last punter who was drafted before this guy, Presley Harvin out of Georgia Tech. I mean, this guy...
Like, 263, holy shit.
What? Oh,
my guy's 5'11".
Oh, shit. That's
oh my god. Look this guy up. Boy. I need to see what this guy looks like. This guy probably looks like a fucking Viking.
Presley.
There he is. Right there. Oh boy.
Wow. Oh wait. Oh, this is the guy from oh shit, okay.
They probably drafted this guy to put fucking asses in the seats.
That looks like Eddie Lacy out there kicking punts in fucking gold jersey. Golly, look at this. That is a tank. That is a unit. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Oh my god! Wow.
The Steelers are gonna be running the most fake punts this year. We're not gonna fake it to the fucking guy that's right next to the punter. We're gonna just let him run it.
Just form a wedge. Let this guy just use all his power and follow it up. Wow, that is a unit for sure. I'm surprised we didn't see McAfee make a formal statement on this guy for the brand.
Two things. First, on Presley Harvin, I think they're probably, if they don't use him at punter. They're probably going to find a position for him on the edge or a tight end position. But I think the thing that gives the Steelers a poor grade is, like you said, they didn't go after a quarterback heavy draft. I think they should have maybe looked at going with a quarterback. There was a lot of good quarterbacks that went in the second and third round. So I think that's one reason why their score is a little bit lower. I'm going to give them a 7.1. I do love that Najee Harris and that Pat Fairmouth, but not focusing on a quarterback position that your guy's entering his 18th season is kind of a question mark in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm close. I'd say 7.5. Like I said, they did have a good draft. Just that one issue of not addressing the quarterback position. Maybe they have some plans in the offseason or to, trade for something, but
7.5 fair. I like that.
What do you want to give them, a 7.5 or meet in the middle at 7.3?
7.3.
Yeah. So moving down, we got the Bengals, who I think got the best receiver in the draft, Jamar Chase. Keep going a little bit here. So, he's going to pair him up with his old quarterback that they won the national championship with, Joe Burrow, who hopefully is healthy, start of the season. After that, they went tackle, DN, DT, another tackle. They got a place kicker, Evan McPherson. I mean, that's got to be the most.
Sounds like a four-star name.
Yeah, that's got to be the most kicker name I've heard in a while. Trey Hill, Chris Evans, not to get confused with Captain America, Wyatt Hubert, defensive end.
I think we're missing the biggest thing here. Yeah. Tyler Shelvin at number 4.
Oh boy.
Owner of Insane Games, Dan Shevlin's younger brother out of LSU, the defensive tackle, obviously related. But like
if you and Dan got married though, and you took his last name, that would be your name.
Well, close, but I don't think the Bengals drafted that well, minus getting Jamar Chase. I'm not seeing anything that really jumps off the board for me besides him. Like you said, Jamar Chase, best wide receiver in the draft this year, and I agree with that. I was just saying that I wouldn't discount Jalen Waddle. I think Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow lining up together is going to be a scary, scary tandem in the next few years.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that. I think that's good for football, getting that duo back together. They also have Tyler Boyd. They have Ross still, right?
Ross.
Higgins. Yeah, T. Higgins. So they got some weapons there. I mean, if Joe Mixon can stay healthy, this guy, I don't know what his deal is, but I think they got him under contract for one more year. Are they looking at his 5th-year option right now? Something like that. Either way, you always have Giovanni Bernard coming in on third downs to catch those swing passes out of the backfield. But yeah, pretty average, I'd say.
They should have went heavy on the offensive line. I think they, going Jamar Chase was a high risk, high reward type situation. They could have easily went, offensive line to prevent Joey Burrow from doing what he did last year. But I'll give him a 6.8. I think Jamar Chase really boosts that score, but not going heavy on the offensive line early definitely hurts.
Okay, yeah, I'm in the ballpark of that. I'd say 7.4, so we can meet at the middle at 7.1. Moving on to the Ravens, who, if you ask Ben Miller, our friend, they had the best draft in the history of the NFL draft. Which I think he was a little biased for the Rashad Bateman pick. He was hoping that he fell to him. They didn't get Parsons, right? But they did get another Penn State linebacker, Odafe Oweh, Tyler. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right.
Definitely a solid pick. Great pick. And honestly, this is the most Ravens draft class I've ever seen. Going high with the offensive line or the outside linebacker pairing up with who's the guy that they drafted last year from LSU?
Queen?
Yeah, Patrick Queen. I think that's going to be a scary tandem. Obviously, Lamar Jackson needed some help at wide receiver. Bateman's going to help fill that. I think they drafted really, really well personally. Sean Wade at pick 5, round 5 was supposed to be a 3rd to 4th round pick. They definitely did really well in picking him. I mean, I would say honestly, the Ravens, they're definitely a high 7.8, 7.9. I think they drafted really well given the picks that they had.
Yeah, I mean they also drafted the only fullback that I've seen thus far, Tyler. We got a kicker, or a kicker, a punter, and now a fullback being drafted. That was in the 5th round too.
Well, Ben
They didn't
Mason,
have
don't
anything
forget this
past
guy's
the
a
6th.
stud. Ben Mason obviously is probably one of the
Don't
best.
forget how you act like I know him.
Well, Ben Mason won a lot of awards for a fullback. Obviously, number one in position rank, probably the only fullback in the draft. But that guy's really good, and he could probably get out of being a fullback and maybe go into a different position later on. But protecting J.K. Dobbins, who obviously won you our fantasy football league last year, that's a
He
big
was a part
priority
of it.
for
He
them.
was a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't hate it. I'd almost boost him up a little bit. Let's see how many. One, two. They had 8 picks. Would you say 7, 8?
I said 7.8, 7.9.
I I'd give him like an 8.5.
I'll agree with that. I mean, I'll meet you in the middle,
So
8.2.
8.2 there. Solid draft for sure from the Ravens. Now to round out the AFC North, we got the Browns, who, we'll see what happens with Odell Beckham. Baker Mayfield, I'm not sure if he did enough last year to keep his position. They went Greg Newsome in the 1st round. They got inside linebacker from Notre Dame, who I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. Wide receiver, tackle,
I call him Jock.
TT.
J-O-K.
I like that. That's easy. Nice little acronym there.
Well, I mean, I wanted the Raiders to take him, and I read an article today saying that he had something to do with, I think he had heart murmurs or something like that, where doctors weren't really sure. They cleared him by the draft, so a lot of teams took him off their big board. The Browns are it's kind of like Jalen Smith back in the day with the Cowboys. They obviously coming off that ACL injury. They took a chance on him. He played very well, still is. But I think they drafted decent they went heavy on the defense, it looks like here. I just don't understand the wide receiver picks. They have so many.
Yeah.
But I guess they saw something in these guys that, made them go after them. They have the best running back in the league, some would say, in Nick Chubb. They have a great offensive line. So they're not really
Probably the
needing.
best 1-2 punch for sure with Chubb and Hunt.
And Kareem Hunt. Yeah, I think they drafted well. I'll give them a 7.6.
Yeah, I'd say 7-1. So I'll meet in the middle at 7.3. Nothing. I don't think they did enough, Tyler. I guess I'll put it that way. So that's why I was kind of leaning towards a lower grade. Not a terrible draft by any means, but I mean, you saw, I guess we'll go to the sheet, right? The sheet that I made. We already got the Steelers at 7-3, Bengals 7-1, Ravens 8-2. So what we got? A 7-3, did I say? 7-2. We'll give them a 7-3. I mean, for being not the worst team. For being not the best team in that division, Tyler, I don't think they did enough to gain
Well, they
that
were the
top
best
spot.
team last year.
As for the division?
For the division, they were the best team in the division last year.
Well, they didn't make it the furthest, though.
Yeah, they did.
How?
They lost to the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Anyways.
And I think
They're still the Cleveland Browns. They still
you're coming
suck.
at Baker Mayfield kind of sideways, my guy. He's been playing really well. Obviously, I don't think he's the best quarterback. Lamar Jackson, obviously, MVP, obviously exercising his 5th-year contract a few days ago. Probably going to get a max deal. But I think Baker Mayfield, is the answer for the Browns if he can continue playing like he did last year.
Yeah, there's a big if, big question mark in that
I
scenario.
don't know. You're
but
a hater on Baker.
I'm not a Baker hater. Like I'm rooting for him. I think he's electric, but I don't see him as being a long-term option for the Browns. I mean, you give him all those options. I don't want to get into too much, but we all know, Tyler. You have
they got
all
a lot
those
of
options at receiver, the weapons, the running back, the best, like I said, the best 1-2 punch in the backfield, and you still come up short like that. I don't know.
It's the Chiefs. They lost to the Chiefs.
You're not first, you're last. I don't need to get
Okay.
into it. Moving on, next division here, we got the AFC South. The Indianapolis Colts, obviously, new quarterback in town, Carson Wentz. They do anything to help him out? No, not really. They went D-end, tight end, Kyle Granson out of SMU, safety. They drafted, okay, I didn't realize that. They got Sam Ellinger late. I
I'm not
mean,
even.
he really dropped down the board.
I don't think he's that great, anyways. But
No, but
he's a prototypical Colts quarterback, if there was one.
oh, 100%. I mean, he goes from the the horns to the Colts. I mean, this guy must just really like horses. um,
Or wild stock, I guess you could say.
Wild stock, more, yeah, because horns aren't on horses unless there's some kind of mystical beast. Okay, anyways, I don't like this draft at all, Tyler. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I don't think it hurts the Colts that much because they're definitely a solid team. They didn't lose too many guys from last year. One could say maybe Wentz is an upgrade from Phillip Rivers in his last year. I'm going low here. I'm going like 6'4". I think this is the worst we've seen so far.
I'll agree. The Quiddy Pay pick was good. He's a strong player, but after that, it's kind of like they fell off the board a little bit. They hit all their team needs, as ESPN says, but like you said, nothing sexy. Obviously, Will Fry's offensive tackle out of Penn State. Got to root for my guys at Penn State. Great lineman, but I don't think he's going to pay the bills for the Colts. At this point, the Colts are just trying to keep up with the Titans, I think, in this division. So I don't think that they drafted to do that. So I'm gonna have to agree with you on that score.
All right. 6.4. Not a great start here for the AFC South. Moving on to a team that definitely needed a good draft, Tyler. The Houston Texans. I'm not sure what's going on with them right now. They do address a quarterback as their first pick, but unfortunately for them, it wasn't until the third round. What was this? Was this the whole...
Well, this is
what
disgusting.
was that a result of? Was that the
Dolphins trade?
the
maybe,
Dolphins
or,
with Stills and Tunsil? I mean, to not have a first or second round pick, that is just not a way to start.
You think the last one was the worst one we've seen? This is just atrocious. This is negligence of leadership up front, and I think this is what we're seeing with Deshaun Watson, who they don't even think he's going to play this year. The Texans, I'm going to give you a 2.6. I don't even think you deserve that. This is disgusting. I don't even want to see this team anymore, and I don't want to speak on it further.
Yeah, I mean, two is pretty low. I don't have the heart to go that low. I'd say 4-2. We can meet in the middle at, I mean, what is that? 3-5. All right. I mean, that's just completely egregious. They only have 5 picks, no first 2-round picks. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with them this year, next year, years to come. The Jaguars, Tyler, obviously, first overall pick, Trevor Lawrence, who I'm a big fan of. I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure you have voiced your opinion on him. But they go running back in their second pick of the first round, which is interesting because obviously, maybe if you're not a fan of football, but you play fantasy, James Robinson was a stud last year. They grab Travis Etienne from Clemson. Tyson Campbell, they go cornerback. They take a
Walker
tackles.
Little is a good pick, I think, out of Stanford. He's definitely a good offensive lineman. The biggest question mark, the Jags actually drafted really well. The biggest question mark for me, Travis Etienne. I think obviously stud at running back, probably would have fell to their next pick in the second round. I think they could have went, Barmore or Jock or any linebacker, defensive position. They traded literally everybody. They got rid of the whole team. I think getting Travis Etienne, yeah, it's cool. He's playing with Trevor Lawrence again. You're gonna have some, fluidity in the backfield, but I don't think that helps you in any way. Like you said, James Robinson, who came off one of the best years and a running back had last year. I just don't understand it. I think they could have went a little bit better at defense, but
Yeah, I
That's neither
agree
here
with you. I
nor
mean, Newsom was still there. Stokes, pick whoever you prefer out of those two corners. Owe,
Owe would have been
was still
a
there.
great addition next to Josh Allen. You know, Tryon out of Washington that the Bucks picked. It was a little bit of a reach for me.
Yeah. Uh, I
Seven
say,
point six,
yeah, I'd give him like a solid 8.1. So I mean,
7.9.
7.9. We'll meet there. Obviously the Lawrence pick, first overall, boosts that a little bit. Tyler, we are kind of cutting into time here. Just been pretty consuming. We
Let's
gotta
go
go
rapid
speed round a
until
little
the
bit.
Raiders,
Yeah.
definitely.
So Titans. I feel like this always happens to us. We have a good in-depth episode or segment, and then we just kind of get shorted for time.
Brady Breeze, what a fucking name.
Some good names out here. Gooseneck, whatever the hell it was. Is that what it was?
Wild Goose.
Wild Goose.
Gooseneck.
I don't know. I knew it was something Goose, Breeze, and then the other guy. Titans. Let's see, corners.
Caleb Fairley, obviously coming off of that year where he sat out.
6-8.
7.1.
All right, we'll give him a. Titans get the illustrious 6.9 there. Broncos.
Patrick Surtain, probably one of the better picks in the draft, I think. They definitely did good defensively. Got a running back, which they needed. But they also didn't get a lot of the team needs. Quarterback could be foreseen that they're going to go after Aaron Rodgers pretty hard. They could have went inside linebacker in the second round, instead went running back. I'll give him a 6.8. I think Patrick Surtain boosts that score, but I feel like they didn't get the better guys later on.
I feel like DNs from Mississippi State are always solid late in the draft. 6.8. I'll give him 7.2. 7.3, 7.4. Something that makes us in the middle at 7.1, not on a whole number. Chargers now, Tyler, as we're inching closer to your Las Vegas Raiders.
Great pick.
Slater,
Great pick.
solid.
I love
Sante
Slater.
Samuel,
I love
yeah.
Samuel Jr. Those two picks really solidified both sides of the ball. I think definitely going to help. Obviously, hoping Keenan Allen stays healthy. I'm gonna go 7.8 here. I think they drafted pretty well. Got some good guys that are really going to help Herbert. Their defense as well. What's the one guy that didn't even suit up last year? He was injured all year. Their safety.
Derwin James.
Also out of Florida State. So they're going to have a Florida State secondary. So going to be pretty interesting for the Chargers. Definitely going to be in third place for the whole entire year in the AFC West like they normally are.
I don't know about all that, T. But yeah, I like this draft as well. First two rounds, they hit it out of the park.
Wait, look at that. Trey McKitty.
Trey McKitty. Is that supposed to be like a joke or something?
Just McKitty. That's funny.
Yeah. You're good at pointing out all the funny last names, which is like wild that they're last names. Usually it's an interesting first name, but the fact that this is a surname and you've carried that for centuries is quite interesting. Just like no one along the line was like, I don't feel like being a McKitty anymore. So here we are, 2021. There's still the last name of McKitty in this world. Yeah, pretty solid first two rounds. Might boost them. Would you say
7.8.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. I'll agree with you there. 7.8. Now Tyler, we got the Raiders here. Las Vegas. Another interesting last name, Leatherwood. I mean,
or Divine Diablo. That's a pretty dope ass name.
Diablo. Morig. It's almost like borderline a Keurig. I'm not sure what's going on there, but what do you have to say about this?
Well, like I said earlier in the show, I think Leatherwood obviously could have went in the second round. Probably could have got someone else, but a lot of teams before them picked players that they probably had on their big board. Parsons, Surtain, insert name here. Obviously, they saw something in Leatherwood that they liked. I love the Trayvon Moehrig pick. I also like the Diablo pick, and I also like the Tyreek Gillespie pick. Um, Definitely went heavy on the defense. And fun fact, this is the first time in draft era history that the Raiders have never picked a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, or tight end, any skill positions. I don't think it helped their case, though. I think they needed a wide receiver. And in that case, I'm going to give my Raiders a 5.9.
I mean, he's being brutally honest there. I mean, what do we got right here, Tyler?
Kunze.
Okay. Good thing you said that, because I wasn't even gonna say that. I was gonna say I feel like that's a last name I shouldn't even say right there. Yeah, I mean, might I add, Bleacher Report, at least their initial blog immediately after the draft, gave both your Raiders and my Packers an F. So I don't think they're nearly that bad. They went safe here, Tyler. I'd say
They got secondary. They needed secondary.
I'd say 6'3". I'll boost them to a 6'1".
They gave up like 30 points a game, so it was definitely a necessity.
Yeah. All right. Speed round here. Chiefs, Kansas City. Not a lot of picks. I'll give them 7.2.
I'll agree.
Okay.
Got a center, which they needed to protect Patrick Mahomes. Probably have one of the best offensive lines in the league, too.
Dallas, like we said earlier, involved in that whole trade mess going on. They ended up with Parsons out of it.
A lot of picks.
A lot of linebackers. A lot of defensive guys, especially early on.
They didn't get a tight end, which they definitely desperately needed on the offensive side of the ball. But I think they actually drafted really well defensively. Got a lot of guys that are going to replace guys that they can't keep under contract. I'm going to give them a 7.6.
Yeah, I was going to say 7.8, so we'll meet at 7.7. I think we're going to have a Insane Games TV meeting, Tyler, because I really liked before how we could kind of bleed our no-look time into Monday Night Gaming, so we might have to do another.
Fuck Dan, we'll keep going.
I don't know. He's got his NASCAR boys that line up right at the top of the hour.
Shouldn't it be WFT, Austin? It's 2021.
Oh yeah, I don't know who put that there. I think that was an auto insert, an auto correct we got there from the Google Sheets page. Washington football team. Go. Linebacker for obviously a solid defense to start with in the first round. Maybe that was just the best value there. I'm not sure. I think they kind of missed. No, I'm gonna say he wasn't, because they still had what's his name from Minnesota that the Ravens end up with.
In a quarterback heavy draft, they did not go quarterback, which makes absolutely zero sense to me. I love the defensive and offensive picks. If they went quarterback, their score would have been way higher.
They could have got Ellinger. They
could have got anybody. Yeah. They could have got a lot of guys.
Like 5th round. I think he didn't go till the 6th whenever we saw that.
They could have got Ellinger, like you said. They could have got a plethora of quarterbacks that went later. I think I'm going to give them a 6.7 here. Having a quarterback is the most important thing in the NFL, and you don't even go for it.
Yeah. I mean, who they going with? The Heineke guy?
Fitzpatrick, maybe.
Yeah, them and the Steelers definitely missed out on not snagging a quarterback. Giants, NYG. Kadarius Toney, they got
nasty wide receiver, by the way. This was a whole thing of not getting Devontae Smith. The Eagles trading up to steal him from the Giants. I thought Devontae Smith would have fit really well in the Giants' offense. A lot of misses, though, as you can see in their team needs. They didn't even go after any linemen to protect any of their assets that they have. Kind of scary if I'm a Giants fan, if I don't have anybody protecting. I agree.
5'5". Giants.
That's my height too.
Hey, you don't get it twisted. I mean, shit. I don't know, Tyler. I think at this point the Jets and the Giants are just in a battle to see who's the worst team. You can't say New York because of the Bills, but the worst team from the Meadowlands. Let's go with that. Bulls here. So they, like you said, Tyler, they moved up in front of the Giants to snag the Heisman winner. I like the Dickerson pick as well. McPherson, pretty solid. I think this is the last year for Danny Dimes to kind of prove to, I guess, the Giants and the NFL. Let's see what he's got. I'll give him a 7.2.
Yeah, I'll go 7.2 as well. Devonta Smith's really going to help Jalen Hurts. I don't see why they need a quarterback, but it was part of their team needs. But I think the Eagles are proving that they're going to make a run at this division if it's not the Cowboys this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably going to be close for sure. Those teams you'd have to imagine were the best. So now, Tyler, we got my team, Green Bay Packers, who, as I aforementioned, Bleacher Report initial post-draft rankings, they gave him an F, right? Everyone's hating on the Stokes pick. Oh, again, they didn't help out Rodgers. How is getting a defensive guy not helping out Rodgers? I mean, Tyler, like I said pre-show, their number one need was probably inside linebacker, which they didn't grab until, the 6th round, which they did address. But their number 2 need was a secondary corner. Kevin King got exposed in that NFC Championship game by not only Mike Evans, but Scotty Miller. So that was a huge question mark going into this season. They grab a center to replace Lindsey, who left. Amari Rodgers, who I was looking up his tape. To me, Tyler, he looks like an upgraded version of Randall Cobb. So he should mesh completely fine and well with Aaron Rodgers. When he stays in Green Bay.
They got another A-Rod. They got another A-Rodgers. Decent draft, I would say. I would give him a 6.1. My biggest question here is, does Aaron Rodgers stay? Do you think he's going to stay with the Packers?
I think...
Honest opinion.
Yeah,
I'm honest about the Raiders.
I mean, it's... Tyler, we've had this situation, and Tyler's all, I think he's, the Raiders are on his list. Imagine him going there. And Tyler's been trolling me all week. Don't you want Derek Carr? No, of course not. Why the hell would I want Derek Carr? The Raiders don't even want Derek Carr. He might be cut or benched for Marcus Mariota. So I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But yes, to answer your questions, I believe Aaron Rodgers will be wearing green and yellow next year for the Green Bay Packers. Listen, we've been through this before. Oh, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, they don't like each other. Comes out next season, they're basically tongue kissing, and they go back to back 13-3 seasons, 2 NFC Championship games. Now, did this draft do enough to put them over the Bucks, I guess you could say, and make a Super Bowl? I don't know, probably not. But I think Rodgers has a little class, and listen, Tyler, like we heard from Mike Tirico, he talked to Aaron Rodgers at the Derby. Rodgers said, "Oh, I wish it didn't come out." So pretty much this is everything that happened behind the scenes. You and I know if it's bad on the surface, there's probably more stuff to happen behind the scenes that's even worse. But if this is everything right here, that's not even that bad. The fact that he has an issue with the GM, I mean, Gutekunst, get him out, right? Like, if you got to pick between Rodgers or this guy who's been there like a couple years, who... Yeah, the Packers have been playing well, but I'd credit that more so to LaFleur. I'm rambling right now, but yeah, I think he suits up for them next year.
I feel like I caught a lot of flack in our group chat. I do think Rodgers is out, and I don't think he's going to the Raiders. I don't even think he's going to the Broncos like everybody thinks. I think he's going to the Niners, his favorite team growing up. I think they have good weapons for him, a good coach there, just like LaFleur. I think it fits where he wants to be, geographically. I just see it working very well for him in the Niners if he does not stay with the Packers.
See, if he's not playing for the Packers next year, Tyler, he's not in the NFL. I think he's going to, he's already got the Jeopardy thing lined up. I mean, shit.
Do you think he's going to sit out?
I could see that happening. Yeah. I could see him just not playing. Obviously, there is some bad blood between the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. I could see the Packers being petty and saying, "Oh, you don't want to play for us, then you're not gonna get what you want, right? We'll bite the bullet. We'll keep you have a Lev Bell type situation. Jordan Love, they drafted him last year. Let's see what you got. And yeah, I don't think Rodgers plays for someone else next year. It's either going to be the Packers or no one at all.
Interesting.
But yeah, as far as a grade goes, what'd you give him? You said 6 or 5 something?
6.3.
Yeah, I'll give him a 6.7. We'll give him a 6.4. Nothing too crazy.
All right, now we're just gonna wrap it. Just look at the team and give it a score.
Vikings.
We gotta find them first. I like that Darsaw pick.
Mond, I like that. Solid. A lot of picks too.
7.8.
Yep, I'm with you on that. 7.8.
Bears, Justin Fields, obviously a huge pick. Huge pickup for. Obviously, they're not going Dalton anymore.
Oops.
I'm gonna give them got Lyman too. Man, that helps. 7.7.
Yeah, I'll go like a 7.3. So give him a 7.5.
Just because you hate them.
No, I just don't think they did enough after Fields. I do like the Fields pick, but I don't think they did anything else after that. We got the Lions here.
Peeny!
My guy, Peeny. It's one of those things, you're just going to say it too much jokingly that I'm going to say that, and think that's his actual name. Panay.
I actually like their draft. That St. Brown pick was a solid pick. I'm going to go 7.5. Rookie score, but I like the way they drafted.
I'll give Peeny a 6.9, so we'll meet in the middle at 7.2. Panthers. J.C. Horn, son of Joe Horn, right? Terrace Marshall Jr., Brady Christensen, who's
a lot of picks.
Got to be the most BYU name there could ever be. 7.2.
I agree. I was actually thinking 7.2. That's kind of crazy.
We're on the same wavelength here, T. Bucks, again, didn't have to do much in the draft.
8.6. They got Tryon, great fucking pick. Trask to replace Brady.
Wow, I mean, come on. That's just a fucking fanboy pick right there. Are you kidding me?
I'll give him an 8.1 then.
7.7.
All right, fine.
7.9 in the middle. I can't give him more than Patriots or Dolphins. Yeah, I can't give him a higher score. Saints.
Oh, when the Saints come marching in, awful picks by them.
Yeah.
I like the Ian Book pick at quarterback. Yeah, but they are going to be hurting. Relying on Jameis, Jabu, and also what's his face, the all-around player. Taysom Hill. Not great draft by them, by no means. I'm going to go 6.1.
All right, I would have said 6.5, so we can meet in the middle there somewhere. 6.3. Falcons.
All the way to the front. ATL.
Draco ATL. Hits, like that pick. They got a tackle there, corner.
They definitely got the safety to help their secondary. Their defense is young, pretty decent. Pitts, oh my God, lining up with Julio and
see what happens with Julio, but Calvin Ridley, I think, is where you're going. Calvin Ridley
picked up his fifth-year option. I'm going to go 7.7.
I would have liked to see them try to grab a quarterback here, so that hurt my grade for them a little bit, 7.3, so we'll give them a 7.5 in the middle. Clips asking, do I think Rodgers retiring or headed to a different team? I think he's staying, and whether he plays for the Packers or sits out a year, but I don't think he's going to go to a different team. Seahawks,
I thought did terrible personally. They had three picks.
I mean, just for that, you got to give them a score on the threes, right? 3.7.
I'll give them a 4.7. I don't want to go that low. They didn't draft as bad as the Texans, but Austin hates the Seahawks more than anybody, so
I just got bad blood with them. I like their players,
they
just
didn't
hate the
draft anybody that they
organization.
needed. Why go wide receiver when you have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf? Makes absolutely zero sense. But I mean, Russell Wilson's gonna throw to someone.
I like the Moore pick here for the
Great,
Cardinals.
great draft by them.
Gave Murray another weapon.
I'm gonna go 7. I'm gonna
Penn
go
State guy.
8.1. I really like the way they drafted. Got a lot of good. Rondell Moore, probably one of the better wide receivers. A steal in the second round. Collins, a great outside linebacker. I think he's a prototypical Cardinals player. So I think it's gonna help them. Maybe go to the NFC Championship, Austin.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do think they're definitely a team to watch this year for sure. Trey Lance, third pick overall. Then they went guard. They got Sermon. I do like that pick. Interesting, though, obviously the 49ers backfield. They had a lot of guys that were producing. So we'll see what happens with that. They were hurt a lot, too.
They got a lot of
solid. I'll give them a 6.8.
I'll agree. I think, though, if Aaron Rodgers goes to the 49ers, like I predict, I think Trey Lance under Aaron Rodgers will only help this guy so much. Without Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he's going to untap the potential he has.
I'm not a huge fan of Trey Lance in general. I mean, we saw what happened with Wentz. You get those smaller D1 guys. They don't have enough competition. If I want a quarterback on my team, I want SEC playing the best competition all year long.
So you want Mac Jones?
I'd you got me. You got me there. Yeah, I don't know. I might take Mac Jones over Trey Lance.
Wow.
Just because, competition.
Trey Lance has a lot more potential, but I'll let you slide on
He's
that.
He's a much more volatile pick. He has a higher ceiling, but he has a lower floor. I mean, if I wanted a safe pick, I would have gone Mac Jones. But like I said, I'm not a fan of either of them, Tyler. So kind of messed up on your part to pose that question in my head. Rams here, 2-2.
Small wide receiver.
5'9",
I don't know.
155.
I don't know. I think they drafted well. Got a lot of good guys. Got a lot of needs and defense. Didn't really help their offensive line though for Matthew Stafford, which I think is going to hurt them the most. So I'm going to go a 7.3 to round off this NFL draft with the No Look podcast.
7.3. I'll go with you. So Tyler, just real quick, as you can tell, I did put a little bit of formula in here. So the division that had the best draft, surprisingly, the AFC East, we got 7.7, and just edging out for the conference, the AFC has a 7.1, and NFC
just more
got
picks, I feel like.
6.91. Nice. All right. We didn't maybe get into everything we want to do, but we got the draft recap. We got our Rodgers opinions.
Presley Harvin, Rookie of the Year, punter out of Pittsburgh. Love it.
Yep.
I need a punter run just once for the brand.
Yeah, a punter run. Hopefully we'll be seeing that. I mean, Goose Dick. That's got to be the last name of the draft there, whatever it was. All right, we're not gonna cut into Danny NASCAR too much.
Gooseneck. From teeny to gooseneck.
I'm just gonna say goose and then whatever else that comes to mind. Fucking goose table. All right, that's what we're calling them. No, No Look Podcast official grades. Dan, apologize. We just had a lot to cover here. We wanted to give an in-depth grade.
3 hours. Fuck.
Yeah, you got 3 hours. Come on, man. You can't be driving for that long. Your eyes are gonna go crazy. Danny NASCAR up right now, and then Monday Night Gaming will be later. 11 EST. So until then, later.
Love you.